So delighted now to be joined by Galway senior football selector John Concannon to look ahead to the club championship action this weekend. John, thanks very much for coming on. But before we do that, obviously a fantastic year being involved with Galway senior footballers, reaching that All Ireland final, just coming up short against Kerry. It's obviously a few weeks since that All Ireland was played in July. But looking back on the year as a whole, with the dust having settled a small bit now, you must look back and I suppose on the journey and the success of the team with satisfaction.
Yeah, look, Paul, it was overall, I suppose it was a fantastic year from where we started last year. But saying all that, and while we appreciate, look, it's done brilliantly for Galway football, and you can even see it in the club championships. The buzz around the place and everything is phenomenal. But like as a group, it's extremely disappointing, to be honest, getting to the final and losing it. Like the players, the management team, we genuinely believe we were going to win that match. So that disappointment is still there, to be honest. But overall, when you look at it in a cold, calculated manner, I suppose, it was a very, very good year. And we're just hoping that we learn an awful lot from it. The players will learn an awful lot from it. And we can go on to bigger and better things.
The journey itself, I suppose, when you look at the league final defeat to Roscommon and then how he came along, getting over the line against Mayo, and then Roscommon in the county final, but just particularly one match that has to stand out, that Armagh game in the quarter-final. As a management group, like the penalties and everything and the highs and lows of thinking you were gone and then coming back into the game, like, have you ever experienced anything like that, being involved with any teams?
No, in fairness, I can't remember any match being, well, especially a match of that significance and importance, but it showed us so much in relation to the character of the lads. You know, as you said there, we were 7 points up. We were cruising into the All Ireland semi-final, and you know whatever happened, and the momentum switched to Armagh, and then all of a sudden they drew the game. And then the melee at half time. And look, I've been talking to an awful lot of good GA Galway people over the last few weeks and months, and they've said in the past a lot of Galway teams after that melee and after letting the lead slip that a Galway team would have failed and would have lost in extra time. And even with the goal that went in and we were 3 points down, I think at one stage in extra time, and for the lads just to come back and even earn the draw and to go a point up even with before that, it just showed the character of the lads. And then the penalties as well, on top of everything else, on top of Sean Kelly, our leader, being sent off, it just showed the character and the determination in the lads just to get over the line. And I just think that game really, really brought us on and just told the group and explained to the group how good they were.
Bork obviously said after that game then that he didn't feel penalties were right. Would you go along with similar lines?
It was easy for Bork to say that after winning. But look, it's hard to know. I'd be 50-50. Look, it's a brilliant spectacle for the paying spectators, and that it's very hard to be involved. Look, again, the players love it when they win. We practiced it for weeks and weeks on end, to be honest. And like, as I said, it's great when you win it. When you lose, it's not so good because, you know, you look back, should Armagh put so much effort into the game in fairness to get back to level terms? Did they deserve to go out on penalties? If it was us, we'd probably say no. So look, I'm 50-50, to be honest, Paul, about it. I don't know what side of the fence I'm on in relation to it.
In that Derry game, did you feel it showed real maturity? Because I suppose everyone knows the way Derry set up and how patient you have to be with the ball, and like even what happened with the Shane Walsh's point was crazy. Like it was a real like patient first half, but then I suppose for the group to show the maturity then in the second half.
Yeah, look, we spoke about the way Derry, you know, the way they set up in all the Ulster Championship games. It was very easy to see the way they, you know, the type of football that Rory was playing this year. And like we spoke about it, look at every game, we talked to the players about what tactics we want to employ or whatever, and we came to an agreement of, we knew what was going to happen in the first half. We had to sort of match their physicality, match their patience, we knew the way they were going to, if we lost the ball in attack, their patient build up, they'd hold on to the ball for significant periods. And in fairness, even, with Bernard Dunn involved in the psychology side of things, all of that, we spoke about it at different times, and the lads were very happy with the style of play we were going into that game with. And in fairness, we were a point down at half time, and then getting that point actually gave us a great boost going out onto the pitch. I think it was seconds before we went out on the pitch that we were told. And even that gave us a big boost going into the second half. And in fairness then, like Damien and like he just opened up and played some wonderful football himself, and John Daly and the whole team then contributed. It was a great second half performance, in fairness.
You mentioned Bernard Dunn there, his first year in Galway. Cian O'Neill added to the backroom team. I think it was Jonathan Harris added to the strength and conditioning. Do you feel significant changes like that were the difference this year on you going further as a group?
Oh, definitely. Now, obviously, there was different, personnel as regards players and all that. But Cian, Jonathan, and Bernard Dunn, as you say, like they all made their own significant contributions in different ways. You know yourself, in any group, once you get new voices in, the players respond, and especially the caliber of the three guys. They're phenomenal in their own fields, and they brought a massive contribution to the overall setup, in fairness.
Have you watched the final back as a group yet?
No, not as a group. No, not as a group, not yet.
Yeah, is it still just those kind of, do those 10 minutes, I suppose, because it was ultimately the difference in the final where Kerry kicked on, got those 4 points, won in the end. But do you still feel that's the difference between Galway and Kerry that day?
Yeah, no, looking at it overall, like Kerry did miss a few chances in the first half. Everyone talks about the 6 or 7 wides that they had, but I just feel, with Johnny Heaney had a goal chance. If that went in, no momentum was with us. But like we played some brilliant football. We went from 16, like we were winning all through the game, albeit they came back level at times. But then we went down 16-14 by 2 points, and the lads again, as they did all year, showed remarkable courage and just serious character to come back to 16 all. And I really feel, that free on John Daly after Damien making a massive dispossession down under the hill or under the Cusack stand side, like that to me changed the whole momentum of the game. If we went up the pitch that time and we could have got a score, or the ball was up the other side of the pitch anyway, to me that just changed the whole momentum of the game. They went a point up, won the next kick out, I think, and just the momentum was with them. And just unfortunately, maybe it was our legs that died in the last few minutes or whatever, but to me it definitely wasn't a 4-point game anyway. Yeah,
that John Daly incident really seemed to be the turning point.
Yeah, it did. As I say, like small incidents like that in matches change games, it change momentums. Or sometimes if that was the first 10 minutes of the game, you'd get over it, you have time to get over it. But it's such a crucial, I think there was 3.5 minutes left in the match. And just to have such a controversial incident, in my opinion, to go against you, it's very unusual for any referee to make a decision of 50-50 decision to go against a defender like that. I've never seen it. And I just feel, the momentum switched at that stage and we just couldn't get it back.
And obviously for the management team now and the players, it's really about getting back on the horse and using that loss now as motivation. But then the competition already looks like it's going to be so much open this year coming forward. You look at Jack McCaffrey and Paul Mannion rejoining the Dublin squad, the star-studded Mayo management team. It's already set up very nicely for next year. Yeah,
it is. No, and it's going to be seriously competitive. Like the way the championship structure is set up next year, I think for any team to win the All Ireland, I think between the National League, the FBD, the provincial championship, then the group games and the quarter-final, I think there could be 18 or 19 games in something like 26 weeks. So, the strength and depth more than anything else is going to be a telling factor next year. So, successful teams will want to have a strong panel of players and again be lucky with injury. But look at it, it'll be very exciting, and it's the competition between, we showed it last year. I think any one of 6 or 7 teams now can be competitive in the championship next year.
Something that was interesting with the Galway panel, maybe a bigger panel than previous years, but 40 players being involved overall. But is that something you did really for the development of the panel overall?
Well, it's good. Like, you want to keep as many players, to get the training, the physical development, for younger players. You want to keep them on side. Like, maybe next year, and hopefully we're still involved, because we have to be ratified as yet. And I think Park is still in negotiations in relation with the county board in relation to that, and hopefully something will come out this week. But maybe we'll go down along the lines of a development squad next year. It's just to keep the players with to have the same strength and conditioning training, to have the same conditioning training as regards fitness, the same tactical training, footballing, the skill side of things. So we probably know, we haven't met yet as such, but maybe that's something we look at down the road.
And getting into the club championship so far, what have you thought of it so far?
I think, in fairness, it's been very exciting. Some very, very good games. Like, I haven't seen a club game like the Montpellier Salt Hill game for a long time. That was I just thought the standard of football and that was exceptional, and very exciting game. But I think overall, even the intermediate games that I've been at, they've been they've been just, the standard of football is very, very good. And the biggest thing is the crowds are just, they're flocking into games, which is, it's just great to see. And I think the level of interest in Galway football is great this year, and long may it continue.
Does it feel like this year you've got the supporters back? Because maybe sometimes all the crowds wouldn't travel, but just like going throughout the year with the club championship and the county team, it really seems like there's a good cohort of Galway supporters back.
Yeah, it does, and it's great. And look, teams have to be successful to get supporters out and to get them coming back supporting, especially the county teams. But definitely this year, like the support, even from Castlebar all the way up to the All-Ireland final, has just been phenomenal. And the scenes in Hill 16 and in the Hogan stand after the Armagh match, the Derry match, even the All-Ireland final, and then the scenes coming home, the reception we got. It was just heartwarming to see it, and it just shows, that if the team is successful, that the supporters will follow, and that's like Galway football supporters want a successful team, and they want something to shout about. So it was great to see it last year. Hopefully we can give it to them again next year.
There was word of Pat Comer, who was filming throughout the year with the team. What was that like? Was it something that you don't really notice when you're involved in the heat of the moment? Was the camera just kind of to the side? Or?
But Pat is like, he's just, as well as being a brilliant goalkeeping coach, he's brilliant at his job. He's such a brilliant professional. Genuinely, like, I thought it would have been awkward at first when I heard he was doing it, but you genuinely wouldn't even see him. He's just so good at his job. You wouldn't even notice him around the pitch, around the dressing rooms, and even on the bus. He'd have the camera on the bus, you wouldn't even see him. He's so professional. So, being honest, you wouldn't even notice him.
Would there still be hope that some of that footage will come out here?
You'd have to ask Pat that, though. Pat is a private man. He makes his own decisions.
But looking at the senior championship, a Group A to start, it looks like all these three teams are going to advance to the quarterfinals: Kerr, Finn, Mike Cullen and Tuam. But what really sets it up nicely is we all know there's a Kerr, Finn, Tuam rivalry, but the game here between Kerr, Finn and Tuam, it looks like whichever side comes out of this encounter is going to get that seeded spot as the best second place.
Yeah, and look, getting the seeded spot is massive in relation to avoiding the bigger teams, So it's going to be a dogfight. Tuam have beaten them in the last few years. Corofin have beaten Tuam. It's like it's a local rivalry. It's in Tuam Stadium. It'll be a massive battle. Like, I was talking to Kevin Johnson, actually. I met him on the street during the week, and he's very happy the way Corofin are going, and their injuries are clearing up, and he's coming upon a settled team. It's great to see Burke back playing. I think Mike Farrer came back off the bench, and Ronan Steele came off the bench on on Tuesday night. So I think he's happy enough the way they're progressing. Tuam, on the other hand, they're playing well, albeit not as good as they can show. I think they're probably keeping their best performance to last, and like they've still some very, very good players. I think Rory O'Donnell is playing brilliant football. Like Jamie is still there, and obviously the two county lads, Brian and Corm up there, complementing, of course, the evergreen Gary O'Donnell. So look at that. That's, to me, it's very, very 50-50. So, but as you said, whoever wins gets the seated spot. But they've got an awful bad luck of results, I think, if for them not to make it through, even whoever loses that game, I think.
And with Mike Cullen, obviously top spot, 8 points in that game, you think they'll have a routine victory over Lettermore. They really themselves and Montbellew so far do look like the standout teams.
Well, from the games I've seen, you'd have to say Mike Cullen and Montbellew are very good. Like Montbellew seem to be very, very impressive, and I don't know whether, if Mike Daly was always going to be a serious loss. I hope to God he'll be back in time to play some bit of club football this year. But Mike, and I think it's Shane Moore, he was the wing forward last year, very, very good player, and I think he's now travelling for the year. Like, they're two significant losses. So whether that'll make an impact overall, if it was a Mike Cullen Montbellew final, whether that'll make a difference, I don't know. But I think you're right, in fairness. But look at this, there isn't very much between them, in my opinion. The top three, Corfin, Montbellew and Mike Cullen.
This is what really makes it so interesting. You're looking at teams for the top spots this weekend, but like even in Group A, there you have Lettermore on 3 points, Spiddle there as well, and Oughterard on a point. Like, the avoiding relegation is just as important as fighting for that top spot, because no team wants to go into that dogfight of a battle.
Yeah, look, it is. That's the big thing. But like, it's very hard on those three teams. Spiddle, Oughterard, Lettermore. They've only recently, the three of them have come up from intermediate, and then they face the top three teams in the county. It's a funny group. But look at I think if Oughterard beats Spiddle, which Spiddle are nearly destined to go down at this stage, and Mike Cullen beat Lettermore, the whole standings could turn around there, and Oughterard could come through. But knowing Sean Andy very well, he's doing everything he can. He said for Lettermore to beat Mike Cullen.
And even in Group B, Salthill are playing Carrow at the same time as that Corfin Tuam game. So ultimately, those games are going to be running side by side, and that's where the goal difference is going to be so fascinating for the second spot. But like you were saying there with Montbellew and Salthill, I think everyone around the county has been so impressed with Salthill, because, being honest, really, with the talent that's been available in other years, they have flattered to deceive, but this year they look a different team.
But like, you can see it in fair. Look at the minute John O'Mahony came in, you could, everyone sensed that Salthill would they'd come and show their true potential. Like, I don't know how many underage titles they've won in the last 10 or 15 years. Like, so, they have the pool of talent, and with John O'Dare now, and Finian and Sean Armstrong, they have a great backroom team, and it looks like they're getting a lot together now. In fairness, it was great to see. You like to see your county players standing up, and Tomo and Rob have been just brilliant so far. They're the two top scorers, I think, in the championship so far. And look, they're playing great football along. Cahill Sweeney's there. Owen McFadden. There's some great players. John Maher is there. Like, they've 8 or 9 real talented players. So I think they've 1 or 2, like even Donny Hunt there that was with UCG, is playing great football with them as well. So like, until, if they keep improving the way they are, they could have a say in this year's championship, could cause an upset or two yet.
Is there any particular players that are standing out for you that weren't with the county team this year?
Oh, there's a number of players really overall. There's a lot of players we've been watching. We've all been going to different games, and we're all taking down different players, being honest, and we all have to sit down and collate them all together. But like, obviously Peter Cook in Mike Cullen he's one of the standout players so far. He's playing brilliant football. We're not sure what his personal circumstances in relation to if he's staying at home or not, but he'd be very one we're interested in. But look at this. There's any amount of players. There's 12 or 14 players that we've earmarked, and they're all, in fairness, showing all different things, and we'll be hoping once we get back training, if and when we do in November, December time, or when there's trial games or whatever, we'll be looking at them.
And even with the Group B, like Montpellier's goal difference and everything, you'd expect a routine victory for Montpellier against James's, and the Annadown Barna game, it doesn't look like even if Barna win, they can get through. But like Annadown have to hope that results go their way in Group C on Saturday, and then when they go out on Sunday, they have to hope that they just beat Barna, and that gets them one of the best third place spots.
Yeah, well, and I don't like Paul Conroy and Damien are great old buddies, so he'll be hoping, Paul Conroy will be hoping that Damien does him a favour and they beat Barna, and that James's can beat Montpellier at the same time for them to be safe. But look at Salthill. We'll want, like, if you're seeded, you have a better chance of progressing to the semi-final. It's as simple as that. So all teams will want to finish in the top two spots.
And with the Group C, then overall it's been intriguing. Even when you look at the table, first versus second this week, your own club Milltown coming up against Clare and what's crazy to think here was if Milltown were defeated and they did finish in that third place spot and Annadown won, Annadown would get through instead of Milltown as one of those the best third placed. And even if Michaels were to finish there as well, Annadown will get there ahead of them. So I suppose when you think of Milltown, who started the campaign so well, and now like there's so many different permutations this weekend.
Look, it's even hard to figure it out in your head. There's so many permutations, as you say. But look, we always knew in Milltown that it was a group that we could qualify from. We knew it was 6 teams all of nearly equal ability, and we got off to a great start in Milltown, in fairness. But look, at the end of the day, if somebody asked us if it was in your own hands, if you could win your last game and you get through to the quarterfinals, I'd say Milltown would have taken it. So it'll be a massive challenge against Clare. At the moment, like Owen Mannion and Jack Curran are out injured, and they, in fairness, are two of our best players. So they're massive losses. But saying that, Mark Hare, Carl Blake, Sean Blake, they're a lot of them are stepping up to the mark, and they're this year, and they're playing great football. So we'd be very confident and hopeful of a win against Clare, albeit the emerging talent to Clare will be hard to stop, in fairness.
They really are two significant blows though for Milltown, Jack Curran and Owen Mannion.
Oh, they're massive blows. Like Jack is sort of the leader in defence there, and he poses a serious attacking threat coming out of defence, especially on the counter attack. And like Owen is he has the pace to burn. He frightens defenders, and like he always comes up with 3 or 4 scores in every game. So like they are massive losses, especially a club like Milltown who wouldn't have a massive pick. We can't afford to lose anyone really. So but look at the lads are stepping up. Mike Martin is one of the top scorers in club football at the moment. As I said earlier, Mark Hare is just playing brilliant football this year. So we'll be hoping that we come out on top.
And Conor Flaherty, goalkeeper with Galway, he's caught the eye outfield.
Yeah, he's got the eye outfield, in fairness. I don't know, were we hoping that he'd be playing in goal? But anyway, he's playing outfield at the moment, and in fairness, he's playing really, really well. But in fairness to him, he's a brilliant football brain. So Conor can, as you know, he plays centre back for the Hurlers as well. Like so, he's a great athlete. But Clare have any number of players like young Nathan Granger is playing great football. Danny Cummins is there. Obviously our own Conor Campbell is playing well as well. So like Danny Cummins is back. I know John Fitzmaurice very, very well, and he'll have Clare seriously prepared, and it'll be a massive battle. But I'd say it's going to be very tight one way or the other.
Yeah, so you look at that game, if Clare go on 6, Milltown on 5, first versus second. Then you have Concannon and Carrickfergus, 4th versus 5th. Carrickfergus on 4 points, Concannon on 2, another fascinating one. And then as well, Monivea and St. Michael's. Monivea on 2, St. Michael's on 5. makes it very open there.
It does, like Carlostrand and Killannon seem to be getting stronger as the groups go on. I know that a good few injuries against Milltown in that shootout the first day, but I think the two Sweeneys are back. I think they have a good few players back, and Kevin's lad in the middle of the field is playing really, really well. So unfortunately, Carlostrand are missing. Like Alan Morris got injured really badly the last day. The poor lad, I think he hurt his knee fairly badly, and he's a massive loss. Like he's an up and coming emerging player for Carlostrand. So himself, and from what I hear, Bowen is out in the midfield as well. So two losses like that for Carlostrand could be. It could be a turning point for in that game. But look at knowing Carlostrand and the lads out there, they'll fight tooth and nail against Killannon to avoid the relegation battle. But I think those injuries could be significant.
And Monivea as well, they've been such a story because they sit on bottom of the table, but a goal difference of +1. Qualifying is out of their reach now at this stage, but to lose their first game by 3, 2 and 1 points, and like even the performance they put in against Milltown caught the eye, and so even some of the younger players from Monivea with McDade stepping up, and then Michael's on 5 points, and they're hoping for a victory here to put themselves into quarter-final.
Yeah, again, look at it. I saw Michael's up closely against Milltown, and obviously Monivea against Milltown, and Killian. In fairness, Killian stole the show in the second half. He got one exceptional goal altogether, which really turned the tide on the game. But as you say, Monivea have some good young players. Like young Kelly with the frees is just phenomenal left and right. He reminds me of Shane taking the frees. Like he's just so confident and doesn't seem to miss. And that young O'Reilly midfield, like they've really good players, but Monivea always have the toughness and the grit and determination. As you said, like the first 3 matches, very, very close battles. Then saying that, St. Michael's, did they deserve to lose against Milltown? I think Milltown stole it. I think we were 6 points down with a minute or two to go at half time, and we got 2 goals, which brought us back into the game. Michael's were dominant in that first 20-25 minutes of that game and played really, really well. They have a few very good players. John Gallagher, wing forward, was exceptional that day, and he got a brilliant goal against in Pure Stadium there as well. Against Concannon, I think, or one of those. But that it's going to be, again, that's going to be very, very tight. But Michaels have to win it to try and get through. Monivea have to try and be safe. So look, they're all dogfights. They're impossible to call, really.
Then just looking at the intermediate quarterfinals, 3 local derbies. You could nearly say, well, 2 anyways, like Dunmore, Kilkerran, and then Illinor and Micheál Brannocks. Dunmore and Kilkerran right on top of each other. Illinor and Micheál Brannocks, then a bit of a Gaeltacht derby, you could say.
Yeah.
And is there any team standing out in the intermediate for you so far?
Well, I mean, like my girls play with Dunmore, so they bring me along to all the Dunmore matches. So I've seen a lot of Dunmore, in fairness, and they look the most impressive team so far. They have a lot of, they've very good success in underage in the last few years. They're led at the back by, Conor Gleeson is phenomenal in goal, and he's just a real leader on the pitch. He dictates everything from the back. And then, a young lad, John Comer, his cornerback. He's played brilliant football and seems to mark all the marquee players for the opposition teams all the way through. And he seems like a really good find with a great future. But ahead of that, I think it's all Dunmore's forward play. It's really, really good. Like the players they have up front, like Pádraig Costello, who was a county senior player last year. He played against Roscommon in the championship. He came on as a sub. Now, unfortunately, he couldn't commit to us this year. He was doing a masters, and he had a lot of things going on. I think he was doing his masters in Dublin, so he couldn't commit. He was a big loss to us, but very, very good footballer with plenty of experience. And then the young lad, John McGrath and Jake Slattery, who's shooting the lights out. I think he could have 3-6 scored, I think, this year, all from play, from what I remember. And then you have a few older heads like Matthew Reddington and lads like that they've been there around the block for a while. And after losing last year's championship, I think they've really got it together. They have a great management team there, especially Dennis Fallon, Peter Walken, lads like that, James Henry. They've been stalwarts of Dunmore for years. And I think it's their big aim, especially after losing last year, to win this year's championship. I was saying that Kilcurran Clonberne will, they were in the final 2 years ago, I think. So like they've some very, very good players that did well to get to the quarter-final. And as you said, it's a local derby, so anything can happen. But from what I've seen with Dunmore so far, they look the standout team to me.
The game on Sunday as well, it's been streamed curtain raiser to the Curfin Tuam game in Tuam Stadium. Glenamaddy and Kilconnelly finishing that game strongly against Dunmore, and Glenamaddy unbeaten as well. The sides have met a bit in recent years as well, and there's never been too much in it.
No, and look, I'm a small grower for Glenamaddy this year because Tomas Giblin made a very shrewd decision in getting Darren Malahy, a good friend of mine from Miltown, as the trainer. And from what I can gather, they seem to love him down there, and himself and Tomas seem to have a great management team put together, and the results are shown. Like I saw them against Cartoon now, they give Cartoon a really good hammering and really good display of football. They've a great defensive system set up there. I think they've conceded the least amount of scores of all intermediate teams this year, but they've also good players going forward. Like young Ryan Duffy, I think I don't know, what is he scored, 3-6 or 3-7, similar to Jake Statry and Dunmore. But like they have some other great players. They have two Gershys there, like Derek Gershie, who was involved with underage teams in Galway when I was involved with Tommy Joyce a few years ago. Conor Raftery was in with the development squad for the Galway senior team this year. Cormac has them in goal. That like there's some really, really, really good players. Glenamaddy, Kilconnelly again. Kilconnelly have been thereabouts. So again, some very, very good players. Conor O'Neill, who's similar to McDermott Gershie, was on underage teams that I was involved in. He's a brilliant player at centre back for Kilconnelly. Obviously, Niall Daly, who's he's come on leaps and bounds in the 7 or 8 months that he was involved with us, a giant in midfield, and he'll cause trouble to any midfield. And then Paul Mannion, of course, up front, like he's there for a long time, and he's been in and out of Galway panels. But I saw him down in Miltown against Dunmore in the championship the last day. I think he got 11 points. He was just unmarkable at the time. So like that to me is going to be a real 50-50 battle, and I think the winners of that could be the biggest challengers to Dunmore from what I've seen so far.
The other two quarterfinals, Illinoran and Brannocks. Illinoran have unbeaten as well, looking really good form without Sean Mulkernan. Just in the other quarterfinal, then Brendan's Curfin. You're expecting Brendan's, I suppose, with the rise they've had in the last 2 years to get over Curfin's second team.
Yeah, well, obviously it's Curfin's second team. It's Curfin with the amount of players they have. But I would agree with you, Brendan's. To me, they've made a phenomenal rise. I couldn't believe it from when they came up from junior all the way to challenging at intermediate level. But to be honest, I'm not surprised. There's some brilliant players. To me, one of the best forwards in the county at the moment is Rory Cunningham, who's been down in UCC for a while, making UCC Sigerson teams and everything like that. But he's just a phenomenal, really talented forward. But along with him, they've James Mulrooney, Martin Quinn. They've some really, really good players, and they seem to have all gelled together, and they're really, really competitive now at intermediate level. And it would be, again, albeit Curfin being Curfin, you think that Brendan's should come out on top of that one.
Then there's just two other games in the relegation intermediate quarterfinal: Hepford or Mormary and Kildare and Williamstown, and whoever loses that will join Mike Cullenby and St. Gabriel's into the intermediate semi-finals, and the two winners of that this weekend will be safe. But that's all on our show for today. John Concannon, thanks a million for your time.
No problem, Paul. You're welcome.